Thanks to all of you for joining us from around the world for this virtual edition of the Arisf General Assembly 2021. I am Riccardo Fraccari, Secretary General of Arisf, and joining us here in the studio, our President Raffaele Chiulli. Raffaele, over to you.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. President, Secretary General, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, welcome to the second online edition of the Arisf General Assembly. Thank you all so much for joining us from all corners of the world. I'm sure I can speak on behalf of you all and say that I think we are now more familiar with these online meetings and conferences. I know this because over the last years, I've had the privilege to attend some of your online events, congresses, webinars. I've seen the rise of virtual competitions, e-sports, online webinars, and certainly also social media challenges. So many lessons have been learned during this time. But the most important lesson of all is that sport has the power to bring us closer together as a global community. The Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 this summer was a testament of this. Millions of families tuning in around the world from their homes. Millions of people, young and old, inspired, taking up new sports. Millions of people interacting and talking about sport and physical activity. In fact, social media posts during the Games generated over 5 billion engagement. So, congratulations to our International Sport Federation for playing your part in achieving these record-breaking numbers. I'm sure that our athletes have inspired millions for generations to come. I truly believe that if we build on this togetherness and sense of community, sport will not just maintain its development, but accelerate it and emerge even stronger in the years ahead. Our challenge now is to work together, to build on this momentum, to bring the best out of sport and to encourage participation at all possible levels. This has certainly not been easy over the last 24 months. Many of us here have lost friends and relatives. In spite of that, I would like to take a moment to commend you all for your continued efforts and hard work. What we are emerging from is something I hope humanity will never have to experience again. Please allow me to share some data which brings to light just how detrimental the impact of the pandemic has been on the health and well-being of humanity. According to UNESCO, with whom we work with, there has been a decline of 41% in physical activity since the beginning of the pandemic. Lockdowns and the subsequent lack of physical activity have resulted in huge spikes in anxiety and depression. Specifically, a 200% increase in mental health conditions reported among youth. These numbers are staggering and very, very concerning. And they showcase that sport is needed more than ever before, are not merely empty words, they are reality. Sport has a key role to play in righting the ship and helping society to heal. And I've been so proud to see how every Arisf member has taken on this responsibility without hesitation. You have all gone above and beyond for sport. You have all continued to walk the talk. And you have demonstrated strong leadership at the time when it was needed most. In our more than ever connected global and digital world, the creativity and the innovation of our members has been able to keep people active and engaged. And thanks to your efforts and the efforts of all our colleagues in sport, I address you today at the time where the future of sport has never been more important. Please allow me to address Arisf's own effort to support sport over the past year. Throughout the past year, we, of course, continue to support Arisf members with services aimed at helping you achieve your objective. Our work to support the efforts of sport to be a pioneer in creating a more sustainable world, a subject very close to my heart, has continued. Beyond recognizing such efforts, Arisf remains committed to supporting our members to further their own culture of sustainable practices. In this respect, I'm pleased to inform you that there will be something special from the UIM, a proud Arisf member, which I have the honor to be the president of with His Serene Highness Prince Albert of Monaco as honorary president, with the launch of the world's first ever electric Powerball Championship, the UIM E1 series. We are very much proud of that. And we have continued this close collaboration with the International Olympic Committee across so many priorities for sport. And we have strengthened our collaboration efforts with several United Nations organizations in the fields of anti-corruption, sustainability, and certainly social inclusion through our work with the UN agencies and the World Health Organization. This year, we have also worked closely with Sport Accord and the International Olympic Committee on the delivery of not one, but two IF Forum, International Sport Federation Forum. I do hope that you all attended the last IF Forum where we looked at key learnings and takeaways from Tokyo 2020, useful in preparing for future challenges and opportunities. You all have seen the correspondence received on the 17th of November 2021, whereby the dissolution of Ga Arisf was announced to be one item of discussion at the next General Assembly in May 2022. The Arisf Council was unanimous in finding that the possible dissolution of Ga Arisf is a matter which requires a significant and thorough stakeholder consultation before taking any action. The strong cooperation between Arisf and the International Olympic Committee continues to help sport learn, progress, and develop. This year, 6 Arisf members were officially recognized by the International Olympic Committee. So my congratulations go to the International Cheerleading Union, the International Federation of Muay Thai Association, the International Sambo Federation, International Federation of Ice Stock Sport, World Association of Kickboxing Organization, and World Lacrosse. We have already seen all of this sport go from strength to strength since reaching incredible milestones. And Arisf will be there to provide expertise and support through this next stage of your journeys. I would like also to congratulate baseball and softball on making its very successful Olympic return after 13 years. And of course, surfing, skateboarding, karate, and sport climbing for making their Olympic debuts at Tokyo 2020. No doubt, this sport will continue to grow in the years ahead, having been seen in homes in all corners of the planet. Allow me to congratulate all of you who contributed to Tokyo 2020 for the successful delivery of the Games, and a huge congratulations to the International Paralympic Committees for delivering a fantastic Paralympic Games in Tokyo this year. Looking ahead, We see Beijing 2022, where more events shall make their Olympic debuts, breaking at Paris 2024, and ski mountaineering at Milano Cortina 2026. So next year, we will all be busy for sure. The Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games, of course, the Commonwealth Games will be in one Birmingham and the War Games will be in another. There will be the FISU World University Games and the World Championships in many sports. More than ever, we will need to come together to learn, to share, and to maximize the potential for our collaboration. 2022 will also allow us to gather once again for the Sport Accord, World Sport and Business Summit, and reunite the global sports movement in Ekaterinburg to build bridges together and celebrate a milestone occasion. Thank you for your support over the past years, and thank you to each and every Arisf member for your commitment to sport. Through highs and through lows, your commitment to sport has never wavered. During these last 2 years, we have had to overcome one of the most challenging periods in the history of the international sport. None of us could have imagined what we have faced together. We have safely brought sport back to the biggest stages, and we are helping sport assume its proper place in everyday life. In fact, the role of sport in today's society is now more important than ever. Thanks to your effort, your curiosity, your proactivity, and your creativity, sport is emerging from these tough times as strong and as united than ever. Arisf has been by your side, and you have been by Arisf's side in partnership. Arisf will continue to work hand in hand with the global sports community to achieve our common goal of a better world through sport. You can be sure of this. I would like to thank the Arisf Council, and I would like also to thank Rohit Ramesh for their efforts to maintain Arisf services to our members and to sport, regardless of the obstacles. Throughout my time in Arisf, I've been reminded of the importance of having this platform, where every sport, every international sport federation has its own voice, a place we can all call home. If anything, the past years have only made my passion for sport stronger. The diversity of sport that Arisf members offer is truly wonderful. By working with you all so closely, my eyes have been opened even more to the very special potential of sport. What else can teach such important things to our young people? What else provides such a clear example of the importance of enabling people to reach their full potential? What else can deliver such health benefit to a society that needs to move more? What else has the capacity to lead social changes at the time of great inequality and with our planet's future in serious danger? Sport is the answer. Of this, I have no doubt. So please, my friends, continue to find the energy, continue to find the way, continue to put sport at the service of humanity. Together, let's us deliver on the unique promise that we can make a better future for us all. Thank you. Now, before we move on, I would like to invite our guest speaker to the Arisf General Assembly, and I'm very grateful to our distinguished guests who accepted our kind invitation. And today we will have Mr. Ivo Ferriani, Mr. Keith McConnell, and also Mr. Francesco Riccibitti. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. And I would like first to give the floor to Ivo Ferriani, IOC Executive Board Member, President of Ga Arisf, Sport Accord, IOAF, and International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation. Ivo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Raffaele. I have to call you dear President because you are in the faction of President of Arisf, but we are also good friends. And dear Arisf members, dear sport friends, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak as newly elected Ga Arisf President at the General Assembly of the Association of IOC-recognized international sport federations. In particular, I want to thank the President of Arisf, Raffaele Chiuli, for today's invitation, which means a lot for me, as Raffaele has been my predecessor as Ga Arisf President, leading Ga Arisf for the past 2 years, even more probably. Let me take the opportunity to speak briefly about Ga Arisf and the future plan for it. As you may know, the Ga Arisf board had already decided before my arrival to propose at its next General Assembly to dissolution of the association. It is important that one of my first tasks will be to implement the Ga Arisf board decision, which was taken before I arrived. Please rest assured that my goal is to maintain and strengthen the importance of the current Ga Arisf stakeholder entities, Arisf, IMS, associated members, ISOIF, and IOVF, also in the future, within the world of sport in general, and in particular with the Olympic movement. I am very close to the recognized federation because you are the laboratory where this association prepare the future sport on the Olympic program. I have to congratulate you because you produced good results in the last years. As you mentioned, surfing, climbing, skating, and karate in Tokyo. In Paris, you will have added to surf, climbing, and skating, you will have breaking. And already now is confirmed that in LA 28, you will have also, again, climbing, surfing, and skating. So that is a great achievement, and you have to be proud for the work you did and you are doing in Ga Arisf. I'm sure with Raffaele Chiuli as the president of the 42 member federations within Arisf, you have the right leader to represent all sport. So, dear friends, be sure of one thing. Me and one of us, I'm working for the common interest and the future of our organization of the sport. It will be absolutely assured. I'm here to find solution and not to create problem. That can be clear. And together, as the President Chiuli already said, we will find the best solution for the future in our organizations all. Grazie, Raffaele. Thank you all. And I wish you all a good work in the next couple hours.
Thank you, Ivo. Thank you. And so now we move to the next. Thank you so much for your intervention. We move to the next point. Riccardo, the floor is yours.
Yes, we anticipate a little. Thank you and welcome to all members and guests. Today is an open meeting, so welcome also to those members of the public and media who are joining us on our live stream system. This will be our second virtual General Assembly, so I'm sure you will all be familiar with the overall format and voting system, where we'll again be using Lumi. Lumi is an independent remote voting system used by many IF and the IOC. All members will be connected via the Lumi portal and is therefore able to intervene, ask questions, and cast their vote. We kindly invite all members who have received the connection details and who are not yet connected to the platform to do so now. There will be a public notary, Edward Gardiner, to oversee the voting process. And before we proceed with the roll call and test vote, we'll hear some more detailed information on the voting system that we'll be using today. To that end, I will now pass the floor to Katie Harding to talk us through the voting system and proceed with the practice vote. Katie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. Of course, I'm not Katie. My name is Garrick Pallant. This is Katie next to me. She will be conducting the test voting. Sitting behind us is Mr. Edward Gardner, the public notary that the Secretary General did speak of. Just before we get into the test vote, can I just please ask that everyone who is on the voting platform, you will have seen you have got the information page on the left-hand side and of course the broadcast on the right-hand side. At any point during the meeting, you are more than welcome to send a message asking any questions and obviously any technical support you may require, please do feel to send us. You will also see in the messaging tab that there is another link should you having any broadcast issues. That link will then open up the another page in your browser in order to carry on watching the General Assembly. Then at that point, you will just need to switch between the voting platform and the second tab you have for the stream. If you are watching the stream within the Lumi platform, when it comes time for voting, the vote will automatically appear on the left-hand side and you can just select your choice and the vote will be submitted. Very important is that we have provided a Zoom link for you to join if you wish to ask a verbal question. Now, what you need to do before clicking on that verbal question, that link to ask a verbal question, is you will need to pause your broadcast. Very, very important that you pause that and then click on the Zoom link to join. At that point, you will go into a Zoom call where you will continue to hear the General Assembly, but you will then be asked to ask your question at the appropriate point. Once you have finished asking your question, you will then leave that Zoom call and return back to the web page for the voting, but also you can at that point refresh your browser page or simply resume the broadcast. The reason we ask you to stop the broadcast is that when you're in the Zoom call and you ask your question, we don't want the audio from the broadcast to be coming down your microphone. So then that would cause a loop. So again, at any point, feel free to send us a question and we'll be gladly able to help you. I know some of the people are still getting their login details, but we are working on that as quick as possible. I'd like to hand over to Katie now to conduct the first test vote.
Thank you very much, Garrick. So as mentioned, we're going to run one test vote now, just to practice voting for those of you who are unable to attend the training session. So this first test vote.
Sorry, Katie, I don't know if you want to just hand over to Mr. Gardner quickly to read up the
roll call first?
Yeah.
Of course, so I'll hand back to Mr. Gardner to do the roll call.
Thank you, Katie, and hello to everyone. So if I could just remind you all that for the quorum for this General Assembly, in accordance with Article 10.8 of the Arisf Statutes, the General Assembly and the Extraordinary General Assembly are validly held when at least half plus one member IFs of Arisf having right to vote are attending. And the total possible number of voting delegates attending is 37. So more than 50% of that is 19. And I'm pleased to say that at the moment we have 34 voting members present, which is a clear quorum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gardner. So we will now move on to that test vote. So for those of you who are voting delegates, you'll now see that a test vote is open on the left-hand side of your Lumi platform. This vote is will the weather be sunny tomorrow? And your voting options are yes, no, and abstain. To cast your vote, you simply select your desired choice. Your choice becomes highlighted and you receive a vote received confirmation message above your voting options. we can see we've got some votes coming in, but we'll leave this vote open for about 30 seconds longer to make sure that everyone gets a chance to practice. Thank you, everyone who has voted so far. The vote will close in 15 seconds. For those of you who have not yet voted, please do so. The vote is open on the left-hand side of the Lumi platform. And to cast your vote, you simply select your desired choice. If you're having any difficulties, please send a message through the message feature and we'll make sure to assist you. Thank you very much, everyone. This first test vote is now closed and we'll display the results shortly.
And if I could now announce the results of the test votes, there was 34 possible votes, 6 abstentions, and 27 valid votes were cast. Yes, 19, 70.37%, no, 8, 29.63%. So that ends the test vote, and I'll hand the floor back to the Secretary General. Thank you.
Thank you to Katie and Lumi team for these explanations. Should you require any technical support during the meeting, please get in touch by using the Q&A button or contacting us by email arisf@lumiglobal.com. I think that is now for the speaking, and we can give the floor to Keith McConnell that is arrived. Keith, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, and good afternoon to you. Obviously, Raffaele also as Arisf president on this occasion. It's great to see you both, and equally each of the recognised federations virtually, and always looking forward to hopefully next year's General Assembly when we'll finally get to see each other in person again. It's always a great pleasure to join you, and it's been quite a year that we've all had behind us. I think, as I mentioned, when many of you would have been at the Ga General Assembly a few weeks ago, this has really been a unique and unexpected Olympic year that we've had. It's been 4 months now since Tokyo, and here we really look back on a safe and successful Games, and the international federations and their athletes were at the heart of that. But equally, each of you played a really valuable contribution towards the success of those Games by building up the awareness of how to run safe events, the understanding that there were safe events happening in so many sports around the world, and this gave confidence to everyone in the build-up to Tokyo. So the safe and successful delivery of the Olympic Games in Tokyo just 4 months ago was centered on the field of play and the athletes, but every single federation, the Summer Olympic ones, obviously, but equally you and the Winter Olympic federations all played a part in building the confidence and the experience that added to those successful Games. Obviously, in Tokyo, we also had an IOC session, and there we were delighted to give full IOC recognition to 6 federations, and congratulations again to the ICU, the IFI, IFMA with Muay Thai, FIAS with Sambo, Waco with kickboxing, and World Lacrosse for taking that step. And again, I think as we highlighted at the IOC session in Tokyo, it underlines not only the growth of those 6 federations and their sports that allowed us to reach the full recognition, which was unanimously supported in the session, but equally it highlighted the ongoing growth of each of the recognised federations and the really important role that each of you continues to play across the Olympic movement. And as we cast our minds forward, as I noted previously, the timeline is very short towards Paris, and these Games are focused not only, again, on the elite competition on the field of play, but the really wider vision of these Games, and in particular around the mass participation and engagement elements. And here, again, we can learn lessons from all of the sports, whether they're on the program or not. In all of this, we're looking to have a really supportive and engaging partnership with Arisf to support each of you as federations, all of your athletes, all of your national federations around the world in any way we can. This is including the ongoing development all of our online support programs. We've tried to be there for each of you to understand the challenges that COVID has brought to each of you, but equally the opportunities it has brought to all of us collectively. And here we remain very close to Arisf and looking at ways we can continue to adapt that partnership and that support, knowing that we're still dealing with the obvious health impacts of COVID. We see this on a weekly basis across all of your sports and the event calendars. Equally, the financial and other societal and political legacies from COVID are going to be with us for a long, long time ahead. So we're continuing to look at that changing landscape and continuing to adapt to that changing landscape. There, we're very lucky to fall back on the Olympic Agenda 2020+5, and I know a lot of you have engaged in that as well in different ways, reaching out to us to better understand the Olympic Agenda 2020+5 and the 15 recommendations, equally mapping your own strategies and coming to us to try and find synergies and alignment between key elements of your strategies and the Olympic agenda. And we always welcome this because the Olympic agenda is about the whole Olympic movement. It's not only about the Olympic Games, and that's very clear from the breadth of the recommendations in there, from gender equality to athlete representation, safeguarding and mental health, which has become ever more important during this break with COVID. Sustainability, virtual sport and gaming, where we had the very first Olympic virtual series, including two of your members in the 5 games we had this year. And of course, the prevention of manipulation of competition to always keep integrity at the heart of everything we do on the field of play, but equally off the field of play as well. So all of this applies equally to each of you as recognized federations, and we're very keen to find ways to support you and have you supporting us in the delivery of that Olympic agenda, because again, it's across the whole Olympic movement and applies as equally to you as it does to any other international federations. Most recently also, we've had the initial sport program for the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 2028 finalized. And I think Ricardo and Raffaele, we had a few slides just to highlight exactly where we are and exactly the pathway forward on that. And as you can see on the screen, we do have a very clear pathway forward. Last week, the IOC Executive Board, based on the recommendations from the Olympic Program Commission, confirmed an initial sport program for Los Angeles 2028 that has to go to the IOC session in February. But we had the innovations around that with the 28 sports, and this time there were new sports in the program, with skateboarding, surfing, and sport climbing included for the first time in the initial sport program, rather than waiting for the organizing committee to propose those 3 sports based on the fact that they were explicitly supported by the Los Angeles organizing committee, the 3 of them, and the fact that they had been the only sports added for both Tokyo and Paris. There was a real logic to including them in the initial sport program with the success that they showed on the field of play in Tokyo, as well as the fact that they fit perfectly with the vision of Los Angeles. So those 3 sports were added to the initial sport program. And there are 3 sports also that have not been included in the initial sport program, but do have a pathway back, with boxing, weightlifting, and modern pentathlon. And the situation is different for all 3. We should be very clear about that. But all 3 have a pathway to further consideration and review by the IOC in 2023. And if we could just bring up that timeline again that we had on the screen there for a second. I'd just like to highlight also that the door by no means is closed for Los Angeles to add additional sports or propose additional sports for addition to the IOC. Just because those 3 sports have been added to the initial sport program doesn't mean that that is it from the Los Angeles side. And as you can see on the screen, there is still that option. And it is an option, it's not compulsory. There is an option for Los Angeles to propose additional sports, and that would be done in mid-2023. So we set the initial sport program at the IOC session in Beijing in February, and then there is the possibility for those 3 sports that I noted had the pathway and other sports that Los Angeles may propose to be considered for further addition in 2023. And there is a pathway that's being developed towards that. Any of you that are interested in that discussion, and I know a number of you clearly are, please approach the Los Angeles 2028 organising committee. And if you need contact details there, don't hesitate to be in touch with us and we can provide those contact details. But that pathway is still open and Los Angeles is working on the process they will put in place. This could be an open process or it could be a more targeted process. We've seen differences between the approaches taken so far for Tokyo and for Paris. So Los Angeles is developing their own process at the moment, and that will be formalized and confirmed in February or March of next year. But don't hesitate if you need any contact details or have any questions to approach us, and we can put you in touch with Los Angeles on that. So Raffaele and Ricardo, again, thank you very much for your great partnership from the two of you as President and Secretary General, equally the whole Arisf board, all of you as members, and of course, Ivo now in his role as GAVE President. It's always a great opportunity for us to join this occasion and just reiterate our support for each of you, our partnership for each of you. We know that times continue to be challenging with the effects of COVID, but we're here to understand exactly where you feel those pressures, feel the challenges, but equally see opportunities and see how we can work together to address the challenges and seize the opportunities as we move forward. So a huge thank you to all of you. I hope you have a great General Assembly today under the leadership of Raffaele and Ricardo. And I hope equally you have the chance to have a safe and enjoyable end to the year with your families and friends, because it's been quite some year. And I think we all need a little break at the end of it. So hopefully you have the chance to have one. But again, thank you, and don't hesitate to ever be in touch with us if we can help with anything as well. Raffaele and Ricardo, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm back to you.
Thank you so much, Kit. Thank you so much. I think you gave us a comprehensive overview of what's happened, what's happening, and certainly what's going to happen. And I did appreciate a lot this LA 28 sport and event program and related timeline. I think this is very, very useful for our members because, as you know, we are directly involved with, let's say, with the process. And certainly I want to ensure you that we will continue to work together in the overall interest of the Olympic movement and certainly of our member IFs. So from my heart, Kit, really, not only to you, but also to your hardworking team, a big thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Ricardo, the floor is yours.
Now Lumi will display the number of the International Federation in attendance on the screen and the quorum.
Thank you, Secretary General. And just to update you on the quorum, the total number of voting members present is now 35. Thank you, Secretary General.
Okay. Okay, and the next point of the agenda, the approval of the agenda. Raffaele.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. So the agenda has been circulated prior to the General Assembly as per our statutes. We did not receive any comments or addition, and we can therefore consider the agenda approved. Ricardo, back to you.
Okay, thank you. And now we go to the next point to the agenda. Welcome the new member federation officer. We have the International Water Ski and Wakeboard Federation, welcoming Luis Polomé, incoming Secretary General. The World Netball, welcoming Liz Nicole CBE, President. The International Climbing and Mountaineering Federation, welcoming Peter Muir, incoming President. And the World Petanque Bowls Federation, welcoming Bruno Fernandez, First General Secretary. We go now to the other point of the agenda, the election of the 3 scrutineers. But given the virtual setup of this year's General Assembly, will not have the usual steward and scrutineers, but the Notary Public, Edward Gardiner, will be overseeing the votes from the Lumi office and will attest the result of the vote. President, back to you.
Thank you, Ricardo. We go to the point number 6, approval of the minutes of the 2020 General Assembly. So according to our statutes, the minutes of the previous General Assembly have been circulated and we did not receive any comments. We will therefore proceed with the vote to approve the minutes. Mr. Gardiner, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just to confirm that we are still at 35 voting members in attendance. So if we could now move to the first voting item, which is as follows. Does the General Assembly approve the minutes of the previous General Assembly held virtually on the 10th of November 2020? And the vote is now open. The vote will close in 20 seconds. The vote will close in 10 seconds. The vote is now closed and we will shortly announce the results. The results of the voting are as follows. There was 35 possible votes, there was 1 abstention and 33 valid votes were cast. Yes, 33, 100%. No, 0%. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. And so now we go to the next agenda point, which is the Arisf statutory changes. So with the experience of the pandemic, the Council felt appropriate for conducting the Arisf General Assembly virtually or in an hybrid form in the future, when, of course, it is needed. Basically, this is the only suggested statutory change, as you've seen in the final working documents we've sent to you. Regarding the Article 5.10, the Council has decided to delete this clause, and I would like to briefly give the floor to Tom Hollowell to give you some details about that. Tom?
Yes, thank you, Raffaele. Dear members, I'd just like to explain a little bit on behalf of the Council the decision that we've taken to retract one of the statute's changes. Basically, the sending out of the statutes was a bit premature, and following sending out of the initial working documents, we've discussed in Council that the proposed change regarding Arif's involvement in multi-sport games is premature. We've agreed that it's a very important issue. It's also a very multifaceted issue, and it should be a subject of consultation with all of the member federations and other stakeholders, for example, with the IOC. So we propose at this point in time not to add it to the Arif's mission in the statutes, but instead that we start a consultation with you as members and other stakeholders to be able to potentially make a proposal at the next General Assembly in May, when we hopefully can meet in person as well. So that's the background for the change. I hope that that's understandable. Thank you.
Very, very clear, Tom. Thank you so much. So basically, having said that the only statutory change is the one of allowing Arisf, in case of need, for a virtual/hybrid GA, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Gardiner to vote on this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. President. So if we could move to the next voting item, which is as follows.
Can I ask a question about this?
Does the General Assembly approve the modification to Article 5, Article 10, and Article 22 of the Aris Statutes? And the vote is now open.
Sorry? There is no Article 5. You got the, if you've heard what my colleague just said, if you've seen the slide that my colleague just did show, and if you go through the final working documents with the final request for voting, the only vote we have to ask to our members is whether they would like to have a virtual/hybrid GA or not.
The number of the article.
10 and 22. So it's 10 and 22, Mr. Gardiner. 10 and 22. As you've seen from the previous slide and presentation, the 5.1 has been, can you show us again?
It's over there.
Yes, it's over there. You can see
10
here.
and 22.
Is it possible for me to ask a question?
Yes. Yes.
Is Mr. Gardiner, is that clear? What?
Una domanda.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Mr. President, that's very clear, but we'll wait for the questions to be answered, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just before the vote, I have one question for clarification. So in the proposed changes of the statutes, it's also included that the period of announcement, if the meeting is virtual, is reduced from 75 to 30 days. Specifically also in the proposed change in clause 10.6. I'm wondering what the reason for that is and why the 75 days cannot be maintained. I can understand that if you make a change at last minute, you need to make this change, but why does the original announcement also need to be reduced from 75 to 30 days?
The urgent. The reduction of the time is just to have the virtual, the last option. If happens something the last moment, we have to reduce the time for announce the General Assembly.
I understand this. So this is item 6.2, 10.2, but in 10.6, actually it's formulated in the current proposal as if any announcement that of a virtual assembly can be done 30 days in advance, even if there has not been any 75 days announcement beforehand, or 3 months even announcement beforehand. So, and moreover, it also says in item 10.6 that items to the agenda need to be sent 75 days beforehand. And to me, this seems inconsistent if the meeting can be announced 30 days beforehand. So to me, the proposal, particularly in item 10.6, does not seem consistent and cannot be executed, I think.
Okay.
Yes. Mr. Lacognata, our legal advisor, are you connected?
No. No.
Is yes, just to give, just to clarify this point. But thanks, Mr. Franzou, for your clarification. I think we need to align certainly the timelines in order to make sure that we ask our members to vote on something that is fully consistent. Okay.
Yes, so I understand that it's now a difficult situation because you can't verify, but if you can confirm that you will maintain for the main announcement the 3 months, then I'm okay with trusting you to make item 10.6 eventually work out, right? So I'm okay with moving to that point. But as it is worded now, I think it cannot be executed.
No, I think that we can maintain the general, when you called this time, just in case of the urgency for the virtual, we reduce the time like it's written in the note.
Yes, but I fully agree with that idea, but I would like to request you to then adjust item 10.6 in that spirit.
Okay, if you want, we can postpone this. We just rewrite the article, and after we make the vote later, okay?
Okay, I think it's fair. Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much. And so we will synchronize the wording. So we move to the next. We need to go to the while you will rewrite the text. We will move to the next agenda point, which is point number 8, annual report of the president. So I think you have all heard during my president address at the beginning of the General Assembly, and you also have received my annual activity report in the final working documents that you received. So I would give the floor to Riccardo Fraccari for his Secretary General report, and also with the financial report, which is point number 9. Riccardo, yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And according to the status, we have all received, I think you have received the financial statement that we sent in advance, the profit and loss, and the budget 2021. If there are no questions, we move to the next agenda point. Thank you. And the report of the auditors has been attached in the working documents. We'd like to thank Mr. Roberto Marotta of World Skate and Mr. Gianni Corona from World Bridge Federation for the report. And now we go to the election of the financial auditors for the 2021. And we would like to propose Mr. Roberto Marotta and Mr. Gianni Corona to continue being the auditors for 2021. And now we'll proceed with the voting regarding the financial auditors. Mr. Gardiner, over to you.
Thank you, Secretary General. So if we could now move to the next vote. And the agenda item is as follows. Does the General Assembly agree to elect the financial auditors, Mr. Roberto Marotta from World Skate and Mr. Gianrigo Rona from World Bridge Federation? And the vote is now open. The vote will close in 20 seconds. The vote will close in 10 seconds. The vote is now closed, and we will shortly display the results. The results of the voting are as follows. There was 35 possible votes, 3 abstentions, and 29 valid votes were cast. Yes, 28, 96.55%. No, 1, 3.45%. Thank you, Secretary General.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we move to the point number 11 of the agenda, which is the approval of the 2020 accounts and the discharge of the council. So I give the floor to Mr. Gardiner.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if we could then move to the next voting item, which is as follows. Does the General Assembly approve the audited account 2020 and discharge the council members from any liability? And the vote is now open. The vote will close in 20 seconds. The vote will close in 10 seconds. The vote is now closed and we will shortly announce the results. The results of the voting are as follows. There was 35 possible votes, there were 3 abstentions and 28 valid votes were cast. Yes, 28, 100%. No, 0, 0%. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks to you, Mr. Gardiner. And now I give the floor to Mr. Fraccari for the point number 12 of the agenda.
Thank you. We go to the election. First point is the election of the Arisf president. The only candidate standing for this position is Mr. Raffaele Chiuli, president who I am. And as per the Arisf statutes, Article 10.11b, if there is only one candidate for a position or if there are as many candidates as there are positions, the election is conducted without voting. On that note, Raffaele Chiuli is elected as the Arisf president for the term of 4 years, 2021-2025. Congratulations, Raffaele.
Thank you, Riccardo. Thank you to all of you for your trust and confidence. And certainly, I will do my best to serve with pride and honesty, loyalty, our organization. Thank you so much.
We go to now the election of the Arisf vice president. And the only candidate standing for this position is Anna Zanova, President GMAS. As for the same Arisf statutes, Article 10.11b, Anna Zanova is elected as the Arisf vice president for the term of 4 years, 2021-2025. Congratulations, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your trust, dear President Chiuli and fellow Arisf members, colleagues and friends. And it's a great honor to be here today. And I think it's an incredible opportunity to give some words about our future, the future of Arisf. In this, the most important, in this challenging time, I believe Arisf should take a very important role in sport movement in the future. And of course, our future success, for Arisf success, is important to continue the increasing the visibility and strengthen the partnership with all our like-minded and high-profile organizations such as IOC, Sport Accord, ANA, World Games Association, which gives our sport development and success. And of course, only together we can achieve all our aims and get our common benefits. I believe in big future of Arisf and Arisf members. Thank you very much for your kind attention and your trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. It's a pleasure to work together. So we are very, very happy that we can continue our journey to serve the Arisf membership. Now, for the position of Arisf Secretary General, the only candidate standing is Mr. Riccardo Fraccari. So again, as per the Arisf statutes, Article 10.11b, so Riccardo Fraccari is elected as Arisf Secretary General for the term of 4 years, 2021-2025. So congratulations, Riccardo.
Thank you, thank you. And now we move to the election of the 3 council members. Arisf received 7 nominations. On 10 November 21, the Arisf administration received a letter from Mr. Jorge Viegas, FIAM president, stating that he will withdraw from the elections And now we have 6 candidates who will stand for election for 3 positions of ARIS Council members. This mandate will be for the 21-25 period. The administration gives the candidates the possibility to have a 3-minute speech live or through a video message. First, we have here Claire Brigal. Brigal, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. President Chioli, presidents, general secretaries of the IOC recognized international sports federations, ladies and gentlemen. In this brief address, I would like to set out for you 3 key reasons why I believe you should cast one of your votes in my favor at this election for council member. Before I do this, let me give you a little of my background. Until nearly 10 years ago, I was a business executive, a managing director with a background in international sales and marketing, working in the USA and in Europe. But I was drawn into sports administration by my lifelong passion for sport. As a racket player in school, I was inspired to play tennis by Billie Jean King and Virginia Wade, but excelled in badminton and squash. However, I've always loved to try new sports, and I learned to row at Cambridge, representing the university in the 1980s. At that time, a career in sport wasn't a realistic option for me, but I remained committed as a participant, an official, an active volunteer administrator. I'm still a boat race umpire, a regional chair, and trustee of a grassroots club. Nearly 30 years after my time as a high-performance athlete, I joined World Netball as interim CEO, and I've never looked back. So on to my 3 key reasons. I have supported the work of Arisf Ga as a delegate since 2014, participating fully in the Sport Accord workshops, governance benchmarking, and benefiting from the initiatives driven by the Council. If elected, I would work closely with the President and Council members to develop the forward strategy for Arisf Ga, use my business and governance skills to ensure the sustainability of the organisation as we learn to live with the challenges of COVID-19, and use my marketing skills to support the promotion of Arisf Ga goals and objectives and ensure sport is at the heart of the global recovery. Secondly, ethics. I have strong personal ethics, a sound working knowledge of good governance, which I've applied not only in my role as CEO of World Netball, but also as a non-executive board director of a National Health Service hospital and a governor of a leading independent school. I'm committed to working with the Arisf Ga members to promote the importance of safeguarding and hearing the voice of the athlete in our decision-making. Coming from one of the biggest women's team sports, I would provide a different perspective and advocate for equality, diversity, and inclusion of all genders and races in the leadership of sport. And finally, my enthusiasm. I am hardworking and never shirk from a challenge. I've played my part in the growth of netball on the world stage, working with our president and non-executive board to ensure the success of our Netball World Cup, develop our global growth strategy and our recent rebrand to World Netball. Please take a few moments to consider my manifesto, and if my message today has struck a chord, I would be honoured to be elected by you to apply my enthusiasm and skills to serve you and the members of the IOC recognised international federations. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. And now we have Mr. Claude Azema. Claude, the floor is yours. I think you are mute.
We cannot hear from you.
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't open my...
Now, yes.
Okay, dear friends, those who know me a little better than others know that my preference is for contact. I like people, I like to be with them, to discuss, to learn from them, because I believe that everyone always has something to learn from others. This is why I have chosen to address you directly to present my candidacy for the Aris Council. I'm not here to speak about myself. Just I say, I remember I was working in French National Assembly for 38 years, and after I was mainly involved in sport. Okay, 6 years did me the pleasure for elect me at this post 1 year ago. I've been involved as much as possible in the work of the council, which he had to meet several times in order to keep abreast of current events. Well, you probably noticed that my World Federation changed its name, also its statute, in order to comply with the IOC wishes for good governance. It changed also his headquarters, his bank account to have Switzerland francs is better, and at least to save us from losing money due to exchange rates. I like the past and the good memories it can bring back to us, but I'm nevertheless essentially turned toward the future, and that is why I have continued to work on a project I already presented to the Paris 2024 Bid Committee, and that I mentioned it several times with its president, Tony Stange. I spoke also some years ago during a General Assembly of Paris. The idea is to organize between the Olympic Games, 2 weeks between Olympic Games and Paralympic Games in French cities, some demonstration, competition, or initiation for your sport, following your choice, for your discipline. The city will take in charge the athlete accommodation, and the IFs, or the French Federation, will be responsible for moving them to the sites. Olympic Channel already present in France for the 2 events could provide coverage of both the sport and the city. I hope many of you will be involved in this project. I hope we have time to speak later. You have clearly understood now, you know that Trent is to work the appearance of Ga Arisf and an organization in which some people feel drawn. If this were to be confirmed, I think it will be a fantastic opportunity for our RIFs, which will thus be offered this chance to provide more services to his member. Yes, you, provided that its leaders are positively involved in this process, I hope so. The essential role of our council is not to hem along with a family operation. We must always ask ourselves, ask to you what you expect from the RIF, and examine what we can reasonably provide to you. If the disappearance of Ga Arisf were to become a reality, the competences it exercised would have to be exercised by one or more organizations. We must therefore put forward our proposal carefully, but by affirming our will within the framework of negotiation that will inevitably take place, and not a self-confident bulldozer, because we would then have to fare painful backlash. It's in this process I want to join Raffaele, whose vision on this subject suits me perfectly, and the other member of the council, because teamwork, even in all discretion, is essential. I will be combative, be sure, but respectful of everyone's opinion. Let us bear in mind that change, provided they are judicious and well orchestrated, and the guarantee of harmonious and efficient functioning, and be convinced that those who do not involve go backwards. Such is the law of organization as well as of society. Let us therefore avoid this pitfall and common. Thank you.
Thank you, Claude. Now we have the video, some word and the video from Mr. Espen Lund. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I will do it online since I'm available to do it. So, dear members and dear colleagues of the Arisf family, it is with great pleasure and honor I am candidating for the Arisf Council. So please accept my short introduction and the reason why. For those of you who have studied my CV, I have a diverse background working with sport, both commercially and within the sport federations. Being the former president of AIMS, actually creating the AIMS with my previous board, I am used to work for and with the members thinking collective results. And this is something I want to continue to do. I'm not nominated to serve my IF, but to work for the common interest of the Arisf members. In my international federation and as a martial artist, I'm used to work with discipline. And in WACO, I have been working with concept development for many years, not only creating the concepts, but also implementing them, whether it is integrity, education, social integration, or learn and share programs. I have also been responsible in my IF for the IOC recognition process, and this has been a useful learning process for both my IF but also for me personally, to strengthen the good governance and transparency within the organization. My commercial background is also from the organizing committee of the Youth Olympic Games in Lillehammer 2016, where I was the head of marketing. I will use my valuable background to continue to strengthen the mission and the vision and the strategic actions already defined in ARISF as a collective group to promote our autonomy, to learn and share between the IFs, and to empower the diversity we do all have. Being 42 IFs in the ARISF family, we have a strong voice, and we need to exploit this, developing our reputation within the Olympic movement. And I will do so with heart and with passion. So from now on, I'm more than willing to take action instead of talking, but based on the pillars of loyalty, honesty, transparency, and to work as a team, a strong team. So I thank you all for listening to me, and I really hope for your support to be one of the 3 new council members of ARISF. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have the current council member, John Lilliund. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ricardo. So, dear presidents, dear secretary generals, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's very important to see where we are in the process, where we are in the world of sports and the hierarchy of sports today. One very important thing is that the development in GAIFs will certainly affect us all. Nobody of us knows exactly what will happen, and it seems that in ARIFs, where there are so many different kind of member federations with so different needs and so different ambitions, it is very important that the ARIFs Council have persons who understand these different needs, coming from different backgrounds, and also seeing how the sports are being developed. So I believe that more active work should be done by ARIFs. I have personally, during the time I've spent the last 4 years in the ARIFs Council, tried to work with questions like the ARIFs strategy, the raison d'être, together with Tom on the questionnaire of what the members want, and also together with the IOC sports department on a marketing case study, which was supposed to be shared with you during the Sport Accord Convention joint IOC meetings, which unfortunately has been cancelled. I hope to bring my knowledge both from the IFF, where I've been working as a Secretary General since 2005, and before that as an area director for modeling and analytics in the world's largest marketing research company, to give you the experience in the council, which is in the best interests of the members of ARIFs. I also think that in this politically very interesting situation, it's very important to have an open and a respectful political dialogue with all the parties involved in this, both towards the IOC, to GAIFs, to ASOF, the winter sports, and the AIMS member federations and the associate members of GAIFs, in order to figure out what is the interest of all the parties, and especially what is the interest of the ARIFs member federations, because we have a clear and central role to play in this. I also believe that my experience in good governance, where IFF was one of the top 5 scoring in the GAIFs Good Governance survey a few years ago, and my understanding of what we built in our sport, and I hope I have been able to prove what I can and how I want to support the members, and are ready to press that ARIFs also does more in the future for its members, bringing new ideas of what kind of service can be given in the different situations. I'm also very determined to work for you, our members, and if needed, to be able to start working with the renewal of the ARIFs strategy in the best possible results for all of us, regardless of what our aims are, being the Olympic Games, multi-sport games, or others. So I humbly ask you for your trust and support to be elected for the ARIFs Council for the period of 2021 to 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And now we have Jose Antonio Perez Piego. Jose, the floor is yours. You are mute.
Jose?
We don't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you
Yes.
hear me now?
Now, yes.
All right. That was one of the most mentioned phrases in last year. You are on mute. Okay. Well, first, I'd like to congratulate Raffaele, Anna, and you, Ricardo, for your re-election as members and election for Anna. And President Raffaele Chiuli, members of our Council and member federations. Hi, hola. I am Jose Antonio Perez Priego, and I currently reside in Ottawa, Canada, even though I'm Mexican. I present to you today my candidature for a position on the Council of Artists to be a positive and proactive member. A quick background about me. I am a civil engineer. I specialize in water extraction and solar energy, and I have a master's degree in international business administration. I am the founder of my own company, and which is in Mexico, and we have a worldwide distribution. But sports is my real passion, in particular water skiing. I have been an avid water skier and an athlete since the age of 6, and I'm still very active. I currently hold the national Mexican water ski slalom record for my age category, and now I compete in provincial, national, and continental competitions in Mexico and Canada. Next year, I hope to be competing in our senior worlds in France. I have been president of the International Water Ski and Wakeboard Federation, the IWWF, since 2017. I was just re-elected for another 4-year term in October. And this is very important period for us because the IWWF is celebrating its 75th anniversary this year. And it's obviously this is our governing body for all tour water sports, and we have about 90 active federations around the world. I am also part of the board of the Fair Play for Latin America and Caribbean. Prior to being elected president of the IF, I worked myself up to the ranks as president of the Mexican Federation and both president and secretary general of the Pan American Confederation, learning the mechanics of an organization and about the stakeholders at all levels. Whatever I do with passion. I take ownership of the organizations that I am part of, and I am always ready for take new challenges. I believe that I thrive when I work as a team in a team environment, and I believe in my ability to adapt my knowledge to the sporting arena. My knowledge in the sporting arena and to devise innovative ideas with my engineering background. I embrace and promote the change, not just for the sake of change, but to evolve and strengthen the organization I have the pleasure of serving, to keep up with the times which are ever changing. The future has caught up with us, and there is no more time or patience from our stakeholders to become better organizations. We have to become more transparent, more resilient, and always striving for better governance. If elected, I will help ARIS and its president to become the organization we all need and want. I am requesting your support so I can serve you as an ARIS council member. Please vote for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. And now the other candidate is our current council member, Tom Olwell. Tom, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. And, dear ARIS members, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your confidence in me at the last election, 3 years ago when I was first elected onto the ARIS Council. And I hope today to gain your continued support in this election and for the next 4-year period. I won't go through my background. I will refer you to the papers that are were sent out with the working papers. I think it gives a good overview of my sporting and business background and who I am as a person. In addition to the council meetings and the work of the council, I'd like to report on some of the other things that I have done in ARIFS during this period. I've been the ARIFS representative on the GAIFS membership commission. And I believe that in that role, I've helped in fair evaluations of new sports wishing to join the sporting community in GAIFS, while upholding the values and the importance of good governance, which is very close to my heart. I would enjoy continuing with that task and is something that I would strive for if I'm re-elected. I was also very happy, as John mentioned previously, to work on the questionnaire of you as members and the following work on the ARIF strategy, and look forward to continuing to work with that. Although the pandemic has slowed us down a bit, I hope that we can get back to that. As we know, the overall situation in the sports world and the future of the stakeholders in GAIFs is a little bit uncertain at the moment, as we've heard. In the past months, we have had a very open discussion, very good discussions about this in the Arisf Council. And although very little is actually clear about the situation going forward, I think that we have reached a consensus among us as council members about that way forward and how we should address it. And I hope that I can be able to continue those discussions in the council in a proactive way. The issues that are key to me and that are important to me is that we have extensive member information and consultation prior to any decisions about the best future structure for sports and for GAIFs. I think it's very important that it's very clear to us what the consequences of any changes are and what they need to be very clear to all of the Arisf members. And we need to make sure that they're done in a sense of good governance as it goes forward. So if elected, one of my goals will be, and primary goal initially will be on focusing on that issue, doing my best to reinforce good governance in the council and to serve you as members with information and in consultation with you, working on the future of Arisf and my role in GAIFs as well in the membership commission. So with that, I would just like to thank you for considering me as a member of the Arisf Council. And I leave the floor back to Ricardo. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. But before to proceed with the election, we have connected also the president of Francesco Riccibitti, and I give the floor to Francesco for address and speech. Thank you. The floor is yours, Francesco.
Thank you, Ricardo and Raffaele, for inviting me to say a few words. And I apologize with all the members of Arisf not to have come at the beginning, but we had a very, very important meeting with the IOC about the European Community legislation matter, so it was I couldn't miss to attend because it's a very, very hot potato in this moment in many fields, not only in football as all the press are expressing, but also in the Olympic movement. So as a senior doyen, I would say, of this organization, I would like first of all to thank Raffaele for inviting me and to thank him for all what he has done in the last years as president of GAIFs and representing your organization. What I would like to spend my short time, because you have more important things to do like the election, is to reiterate my great consideration for Arisf. And on this respect, I would like to be very straight, as usually I am, to say that the consideration for a reorganization of the International Federation representative body started a few months ago, very friendly within us. Unfortunately, an inadvertent wrong communication of the last day has caused a lot of debate, as you see in the sport press. We never talk about the solution. We need the federation to be together, Olympic, non-Olympic, and all of them, basically because we have the same interest, the same responsibility, more or less, depending from the size of the organization, and the same pleasure and passion to serve the sport. So the reason, and I would say that in our idea and in my idea, we had to optimize and rationalize to avoid duplication, expenses, and overlapping. But was never in my mind and in our mind of the few people that discussed this matter already, to devaluate the representation of Arisf. Arisf, in our opinion, and in some of us, would have been the new guys, if you want, because it's simply what is not working in our organization, and this is proved by many, many crises, as the last one was Sochi crisis, if you want, is that the double representation cannot work for us. Each federation has to be represented by one association, not by two overlapping each other and perhaps not saying the same thing. So this was the inspiration of this discussion, very friendly between all of us, and to work, and with the agreement to work for that. But obviously the mission of GAIFs that was reduced after the crisis, I call the crisis of Sochi, should be distributed. And mainly the inherited body should be Arisf, in my opinion. So Arisf, we are going to a much stronger Arisf And Arisf, as Raffaele knows, was always at the top of my consideration. Arisf is the house of the federations that want to become Olympic, that want to become more important, and they cover all the great field of sports that are not really part of the Olympic program, but they are very developing and very interesting, especially to the young generation. So you have a great future. I wish you the best. And I can assure you that I will always defend your interest indirectly. We need to be together, but at the same time, we cannot need to spend money that is not needed and be represented by 2 or 3 people. This is confusing and also weaken our position inside the Olympic movement. So I will assure you that I will do my best, but be assured also that Arisf is in my top priority, because in my opinion is an association that has to do much more. Is the only association that is a great potential to become more relevant in our Olympic arena. Having said that, to clarify you, which is my view about all the discussion of this day, basically due to a wrong or inadvertent communication. And for the future, what can I wish? I heard my meeting stopped at 3 o'clock, so I heard many of the candidates. I wish all of them the best, but surely I noted the great passion that inspired all of them to dedicate time, as I have done for many, many years. And so you are my friend. And thanks again, Raffaele and Ricardo, for what you do. And I am always available to tell what I think on any problem could arise. Best wishes and a great success to you at the continuation of your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you. And now on your screen...
Thanks, Francesco. Thank you as well.
You'll find the 6 candidates for the position of Arisf Council member. Over to you, Mr. Gardiner.
Thank you, Secretary General. And just before we move to the voting, I'll just hand over to Katie from Lumi, who will just go through the voting process for this as there's a multiple candidate vote. Thank you. And here's Katie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gardiner. So as mentioned, this vote is slightly different. You are voting for 3 candidates. This means that you must select 3 candidates from the list and then click the send button to submit your vote. You can only click the send button once you have selected the 3 candidates. The send button is located at the bottom right of the list of candidates, and if you're on a small device, you might need to scroll down to see the full list of candidates and the send button. I'll hand back to Mr. Gardiner to conduct the vote.
Thank you, Katie. And again, before moving to the vote, if I could just remind all delegates as regards some of your statutory provisions when there's multiple candidates. So according to your statutes, Article 10.11a, each voter shall vote for as many candidates as there are vacancies. The candidates who obtain the largest number of votes shall be elected. In case of an equality of votes, a runoff election of the tied candidates will be carried out. In such a case, votes shall be cast for one candidate only, under penalty of the vote being declared void. The candidate having collected the highest number of votes shall be elected. Thank you. So we will now move to the voting. And before we do, I will just confirm the current number of delegates who are logged on in it remained at 35. Thank you. So if we now move to the next motion to be voted on, which is as follows. Please vote for the candidate standing for election of Arisf Council members' position for the period of 2021 to 2025, and the vote is now open and will be open for longer than normal.
Once again, I'd like to remind voting delegates that you need to select 3 candidates from the list and click the send button. The send button submits your vote and you must select 3 candidates. You'll see that your candidates become highlighted and a vote confirmation message appears once you have successfully voted. Your candidates will turn green once the vote has been submitted.
The vote will close in 1 minute. The vote will close in 30 seconds. The vote will close in 10 seconds. The vote is now closed and we will shortly display the results. The results of the voting are as follows. There was 35 possible votes and 32 valid votes were cast. I'll just read out Christian names. Claire, 25, 78.13%. John, 18, 56.25%. Tom, 18, 56.25%. Claude, 12, 37.5%. Espen, 12, 37.5%. Jose Antonio, 11, 34.38%. I think therefore there should be no more voting required, but I'll hand the floor back to the President. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would like to congratulate the new elected members, Claire, John and Tom, which were already in the council. Congratulations. And we would like to now move to the next agenda point, which is the date and place of the next Statutory General Assembly. So the next Statutory General Assembly of IRIS will be held on 16th of May 2022 in Ekaterinburg, Russia. And this is going to be in conjunction with the yearly Sport Accord convention. Now we have one outstanding item. So I ask Mr. Fraccari to go back to the point that we were asking to vote on, which is basically the statutory changes.
Yes, but I think that if Jan is online, I think that we can give to the executive to align how we agree now this morning, because we had to review the text and to circulate to everybody. The only thing that today we can approve the possibility to have the hybrid and the virtual meeting. So the text can be this one, but we had to write for sure.
Ian, are you online? Ian? I see, yes, I see Ian there.
Ian, we had to rewrite all the article now, but we practically agree that we put online, how you said before, and we, according to this, we can vote the changes that we discuss for avoid to rewrite and to send to everybody. Okay, for this?
Yes, I agree. Actually, I've had an exchange with Rohit on the matter, so I think we can move ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so practically, with this note, we ask to Mr. Gardiner to open the vote for this change of the statutory, with the note that we had to align the time and the, for call. So practically, we give the executive to align the time, but we vote for approve the possibility to call in virtual or remote. Is okay? Perfect.
Yes, correct.
So this is the question. If the members vote in favor to call, to have the possibility to call virtually or remote General Assembly, align the time, as we said before, and we send to the executive the power to rewrite the right time for call the General Assembly. Is okay?
John Lillian, there's a question.
Yeah, John.
Yes, Mr. President, I think the important thing is that I fully agree to what you have said, Ricardo, but I think that if we to make it easier in the future, if we just strike the change in 10.6, I think we will have a much easier situation to reformulate it. Just as it's not a must, but that was what we discussed with Jan just a moment ago.
Yeah, but this can be. Now we have to approve the possibility to call a General Assembly virtually. This is the main question. Is okay?
Yes, it's okay.
This is the question, Mr. Gardiner.
So, Mr. Gardiner, is it clear what we are asking to our members to vote on is the following: whether or not they approve the possibility of having either a virtual or hybrid General Assembly in case of need, okay, like today, basically. So this is the only thing that we are asking our members
to
vote on.
Thank you, Mr. President. The motion that we've been asked to propose is voted on is that simply does the General Assembly approve the statutory changes? So are you happy for that motion to be voted on? And if so, I'll read it out again formally. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Is okay?
Okay.
Good. Thank you very much. So if we could now move to the voting. So and before we do so, I can confirm that we still have 35 voting members in attendance. So the next motion to vote on is as follows. Does the General Assembly approve the statutory changes? And the vote is now open. The vote will close in 20 seconds. The vote will close in 10 seconds. The vote is now closed and we will shortly announce the results. The results of the voting are as follows. There was 35 possible votes, there were 2 abstentions, and 29 valid votes were cast. Yes, 28, 96.55%, no, 1, 3.45%. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks to you, Mr. Gardiner. So, dear friends, I would like to thank you for all your support over the past years. And thank you to each and every ARIS member for your commitment to sport and your support to our organization. Through highs and through lows, your commitment to sport has never wavered. Without you, there would be no ARIS, as simple as that. So allow me to take this opportunity again to congratulate the elected ARISF Council members. As we look to the future, I'm very much impatient to see so many of you, ideally all of you, in Ekaterinburg in May 2022. Thank you for your time. This meeting has now come to a close. Thank you so much.